Trying to find somewhere to eat, we stopped in the forest where there is a restaurant. Our escort goes to see if we can get anything to eat, and we notice an unmarked car stopped across the road. This car has been following us for some time, and we suspect that they are KGB. Gary Neeson and Ben decide to go and speak to them to find out why they're tailing us. They found that the occupants were Belarusian police officers, very friendly and pleased to speak to us, and Gary Neeson immediately went into badge swapping mode. There was no food at this restaurant, so the convoy moved off. Finally, further up the road near Minsk, we found a petrol station with a restaurant next door. We fueled the vehicles first and found that to be a complicated procedure. First, you have to tell the cashier in a barricaded hut how much fuel you want. Next, you pay for that amount, and then they switch on the pump. More often than not, though, you have to move all the vehicles to another pump because the original one isn't working. Once again, our vehicles attracted a lot of interest, particularly amongst local youngsters, although we couldn't help wondering why they weren't in school.
That's it. You'd be a star on British television.
We then went to the restaurant where we had a simple but much appreciated meal of meat and potatoes, while one of our Russian escorts kept guard on the vehicles. Then it was back on the road. The road surfaces varied greatly. In some places it was excellent, and then suddenly, with no warning, we'd be hitting potholes and swerving to avoid ruts and ridges. And still the road went on. The scenery was either of miles of fields on either side, or long stretches of forest, with little old ladies standing in the middle of nowhere with a bucket of apples or mushrooms for sale. We tended to drive in 2-hour shifts to try to vary the monotony of the roads, and this seemed to work quite well. "3 p.m. and escort changeover time. The relief vehicle is delayed, so we all wait at the side of the road while some of the locals pass by, eyeing us with suspicion. Suddenly, 3 young lads on their way home from school stop and talk to us. They leave heaped with sweets, glove puppets, badges and the like. We've made some friends in Belarus. Our Russian escort gets tired of waiting, so we set off without the Belarusians. Vladimir has told us that there are no formalities at the Russian border, and we anticipate going straight through. True, we pass the inevitable waiting lorries, but then there is a problem with the customs documents. Whilst a great debate takes place between us, the Russians, the Belarusians, and anyone else who happens to be around, the locals carry on as normal. It certainly brought home to us the truth of saying, waiting for the cows to come home. After clearing the Belarus border, we were greeted by a welcoming committee of several police officers and the local Russian Orthodox priest. There are speeches and exchanges of gifts, and we are invited to take bread and salt, the traditional Russian welcome to travellers.
My dear friends, you are welcome in Russia. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Это вам память о пребывании на Псковской земле.
Remember about Scotland.
Пожалуйста, вам.
Following this, we are escorted through damp, dark roads to the tourist camp at Neville. This is like an hotel in the middle of the forest, and our hosts are taking no chances with the security of our vehicles. After unloading our personal kit, the vehicles are left in charge of a unit of Russian Spetsnaz troops, their special forces. We are immediately told to get changed as we're going off to a banya. We're told that a banya is a sauna and that it is a great Russian tradition. We trooped off down a farm track to what appeared to be a farm outbuilding. This in fact turned out to be the sauna, where we all sat and sweated and beat each other with birch twigs. Then it was outside for a dip in the cold lake. This was followed by a meal of fish and potato soup and kebabs which were cooked on a fire outside, and it was here also that we had our first taste of vodka. At the end of the evening, we were driven back to our hotel by the special forces, who had large posters of Sylvester Stallone pinned up in their minibus.